Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures, Daily Dose of Nature. Today's topic, the Galapagos Islands, a trip of a lifetime. Presented by Nat Hab Expedition Leader Luis Vinueza. I'm your host, Rob Mess. Thank you all so much for being here today. Over to you, Luis.
Thank you very much, Rob. And this is a pleasure for me to talk about the Galapagos. I've been here for more than 25 years, and I've been lucky to work for Nat Hab during the past year. So I'm gonna show you today why the Galapagos are so special. And I'm gonna start by just showing you a bit of the geological setting and the oceanography of the islands, so you can choose probably what's the best time for you to come, but also to understand a bit is why we have such a special place, and also we have some rules that make this possible. Okay. But the Galapagos basically are located 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, and they are moving on the Nazca Plate towards the mainland. They are originated on this hotspot that you can see, and so once the islands form, they are moved towards the mainland, and at some point they'll also get disconnected. So in this travel or trip to the mainland, they also get eroded, and at some point they get subsided. And so the islands that we're see on the east are older, as opposed to the islands that are on the west, that are newer and are still volcanically active. So this is very interesting, and this is gonna modify what you're gonna see, because the eastern islands have a lot of endemic species that are unique to those areas. And the west, they have a lot of species that disperse from the east. And also it's important to understand the spatial distribution of the oceanographic currents, which changes with seasons. So we have three main currents, as you can see on this map. And this map is just reflecting the amount of chlorophyll A or plankton that is in the surface of the water. And as you can see on this scale, red represents a higher concentration of chlorophyll A. And the other colors, blue or purple, are concentrations of chlorophyll A that are lower. And so as you can see on the Western Islands, and if you look at this map, we have San Cristobal and Española, which are close to the Humboldt Current. And then the island of Isabela, which has the shape of a seahorse. And then Fernandina on the west, with a very high productivity. And this is because of the distribution of these three different currents. So the dynamic is stronger on the northern islands, and also is stronger during the months of December, January, February, and March, and April. So it brings warmer water to the archipelago. And sometimes this might extend for a longer period of time, and this is what we know as El Niño, when the water gets unusually warm. We also have the Humboldt that comes from the south, Pole, and then turns into the Galapagos with the prevailing south trade winds. And so this Humboldt current is stronger from the months of June, July, August, and September. So that means that the water gets colder, and this also is due to the fact that the winds, are stronger. And this recirculate the water column and allows for a lot of water that is cold to come from underneath. So seasonally, the Galapagos are different. You can say we have a wet season and a dry season. A wet season is hot and humid, and a dry season is cold and windy. Okay, and so hot season from December to May, and then cold season from June to November. Okay, that's important. And this is one of boats, the Nemo tree. This one is very nice because it has a lot of open space, and this is where we have our kayak specific trips, which means that we have specific kayaks, and we also almost kayak every day. And so here you have a lot of open space, and you have the chance to sail. And this other catamaran is the Petrel. We have three different decks. We have more spacious cabins, and then we have an upper deck that is very nice for barbecues. So on this one, you have more space. Okay. And this is one of our zodiacs and our guest. And as you can see, we have a few crew members always helping us to get on and off these tenders, because this is very important for us. Safety is very important. So we always get assistance from our wonderful crew members. And this is just a picture showing you how our guests can enjoy the navigation and sometimes the observation of marine mammals. Like the other day, we saw killer whales for 3 hours and also bottlenose dolphins. So we were very lucky. This is just a picture to show you how close can you get to nature, because animals actually are along the trails. And sometimes we have to deviate from the trails because they might nest right along the path. So every time you go on these walks or activities, we are going to tell you how to prepare for them, because for some of these you need walking sticks, you need good walking shoes, and obviously you want to bring your cameras and you want to know how to protect your gear. So every evening we're going to give you a briefing so that you understand how best to prepare for these trips and whether or not this is a good option for you. And in that respect, what I have to say is that we always offer options. Sometimes if you don't have good balance, you might prefer to come on the zodiacs or the tenders for a ride. And so you can see along the zodiac or the dinghy ride a lot of the same things that you can see on the hikes. So this is important to establish. And that's what is good about our operations, that we always have two guides. So we can divide the groups and we can make this experience better to fit, the needs of the different guests. So this is just a picture of the beautiful kayaks that we have. And in the background, we have Kicker Rock, which is a formation that we circumnavigate with our boat, just to show you how beautiful is the landscape and how different it can be. And we are also going to offer you snorkeling. And this is one of the most important activities too, as well as the hikes, because the land and the ocean are amazing in Galapagos. Okay, so the chance to play with sea lions, and we might get very close to nature, like this video that showed you a green sea turtle. Now we're guests with all their gear that we provide so that you are protected from the cold, from the jellyfish, and from the solar rays. So we provide you all of this when you come along with us. Okay, and as I said before, we always have two guides, and this is Giancarlo and this is me, and so we always have a team, and we work together very close to make this experience the best for you. And so I'm just gonna go through the East and Central Island itinerary, and so this is something that reflects what most of the boats, the two boats that we have do. It's not necessarily the same itinerary, but it's very similar to what you are gonna see. So in this first one, you can see that we concentrate on the Eastern and Central Islands, and we visit San Cristobal, that is to the east, Española, Floriana, and then Santa Cruz, where we spend a night at the tortoise camp up in the highlands. And then we go to Santa Fe, and then we go to Santiago and Rábida, and then finally we go to Santa Cruz to depart from Baltra. So I'm gonna go for every day what are the highlights of these activities. Okay, and one thing that you have to take into account is that for every activity that we have, we always come back to the boat and we prepare for the next one. So you will always have time to prepare for every activity. Okay, so we land in this particular case on the island of Baltra, which is just north of Santa Cruz in the central part of the archipelago. And then we just go north of Baltra, which is the island of North Timor, or Isla Timor, as it is on the map. So this is a very short navigation of 45 minutes. And we are gonna land on a place where we're gonna have a chance to see for the first time, the land iguanas. And this is one of the 3 species of land iguanas that we have. So as you can see, very impressive. We have a lot of these. And we also have the first chance to see the beautiful blue-footed boobies. And the color of their feet, as we are going to show you, is very important in the selection of a mate. And we have sometimes the chance to see a couple in action, as you are going to see in this video. This is not Seymour.
There's the gift.
Yes, that is the gift. And so you can hear.
That serves no purpose, really, just decoration. And we humans do a lot of that, right? So they do the same. Look at that. Look at that.
So as you can see, we have in the background these animals just actually acting naturally with us, which is super cool. And the production of this is these beautiful babies. And so blue-footed boobies are opportunistic, and sometimes we have a chance to see them, sometimes not, but this is one of the highlights of this first island. And also the frigate birds. And this is a male that is trying to attract females. And so during this hike, you are also going to learn how this works. Then we move to San Cristobal. So we move to the east towards the older islands, where we are going to see a lot of endemic species that are unique to these Easter islands. Okay, and in San Cristobal, the first place that we're going to go is Isla Lobos, and then we move to Wizard Hill. Okay, so this is Isla Lobos, and this is a brown pelican. This is one beautiful adult, and this is also a blue-footed booby. This is another chance that we can see blue-footed boobies. In this particular case, this one is incubating 2 eggs. And then sea lions. So sea lions are super charismatic for a lot of the guests, and so this is one of the animals that people like the most because they get very close to us, as I'm going to show you in other videos. So this is one of the highlights, is that in this outing we go snorkeling with them for the first time. And this is another beautiful formation that we pass by with our boat. This is Kicker Rock and San Cristobal as well. And this is on our way to the next spot in San Cristobal, which is Wizard Hill, this beautiful sandy beach where we're going to have a chance to walk and also observe coastal birds and some sea lions. And so here again, the formation of Kicker Rock is a beautiful landscape, ideal for photography and also to enjoy just the beach. Then the next day we move to Española. Okay. So how do we move from island to island? Is that the longest navigation is actually after dinner, just to let you know. So this navigation is a bit long. It takes a few hours to get to Española. And this is another island with a lot of endemic species that are unique to Española. Okay. And so this is Gardner Bay, another beautiful sandy beach. And again, the sea lions that steal the show. So if the conditions are clear, you know, this is what you can see there. It's always pleasant to land here. And here you can land barefoot and walk and enjoy a lot of the endemic species that are unique to Española, like the Christmas iguana. This is a marine iguana. And they are very colorful there and in Floriana because of the diet they have. And this is the mockingbird of Española. Very special. They have a very long beak, and they are the only ones of the 4 species of mockingbirds that drink blood. And this is also a bird that inspired Darwin to think about the fact that the species change and evolve. So very important. And then the Nazca boobies, we have a very big colony of Nazca boobies. Okay, so this is the other type of booby that we have. And one of the highlights of Española is to see the wave albatross. And they come and nest here only on this island, and they travel all the way to Peru to hunt for food for their chicks, specifically squid. So it's a beautiful bird that we can see for most of the year in Española. And this is the lava lizard from Española. This is a beautiful female. And another endemic species that only happens here in Española. Then we move to a different location. We move to Floriana. So this is an island with a lot of human history and also human impacts. So this was the first island to be colonized by humans, and also the first island to be colonized by Ecuador when we claimed the Galapagos as part of our country. This is also another island that Charles Darwin visited. So you're going to learn about this. So one of the highlights is the chance to see the American flamingo in a beautiful brackish lagoon that we have over there. And so sometimes we can see a few of these beautiful birds dancing. Sometimes we can see the little babies. And so this is one of the highlights. But also another highlight is the chance to see sea turtles laying eggs. And so if we come here earlier in the morning, we might have a good chance to see a female, especially during certain times of the year, particularly in the warmer months. And sometimes we also have a good chance to swim with them in this same location. And so when we snorkel, we have a chance to see a lot of fish. So it's worth it to bring, an underwater camera to capture some of these spectacular wildlife we have there. Another place that we visit is Post Office Bay, and this is one of the probably oldest mailing systems in South America, and was used by whalers to reach their homes because they will drop the letters, and these letters will be taken by here. Nat Hab, we have so here we kept the tradition, and so when we come to this place, we send some postcards that are going to be picked up by other people, and they are going to be hand delivered. So this is one of the activities that we do with our guests to just remember this past that we have here. Then we move to the central island of Santa Cruz. This is where I live and where most of our guides live. So we move north and we land in the town of Puerto Ayora, the largest town. And there we are going to visit first thing the Charles Darwin Station and the Galapagos National Park headquarters. And this is a place where we might have a chance to see Darwin finches, especially this beautiful one, a cactus finch. Okay, and so we also can see the beautiful little giant tortoises and learn about the restoration efforts to bring these species back from extinction. So here we're going to see all the way from the little ones that were born this year to the big ones, and we're going to learn how we are helping to restore these populations that were heavily affected by humans and introduced species. And so this is a beautiful saddleback giant tortoise that we are only going to be able to see here because it's kept there for some purposes. Then another attraction that we are going to visit during our stay at Puerto Ayora is the fish market, where we are going to see sea lions and then pelicans and other birds. Just collecting the scraps of the fish, which is what we locals get for lunch. So every day this market is usually very busy until noon. This is part of the catch. Okay? This is a scorpion fish, and it's very common part of our diet. Then in the afternoon, we go to our beautiful tortoise camp for another chance to see giant tortoises. But these ones are different from the ones that you will see at the Charles Darwin Station. These are the dome-shaped giant tortoises, the ones that get their food from the ground. And this is where you are going to spend the night. So these are our glampings. We have 6 of these units. And this is our tree houses, and we have 4 of these available for you. And then you are also gonna have a chance to learn about restoration, because here in this place we are trying to restore the forest of a giant daisy, which is a tree that is the analogy of the Darwin finches. We have several species of this giant daisy, and now in the Galapagos Islands. Then we move to the island of Santa Fe. Then we move again to the east for a chance to play with sea lions and then see pale iguanas. Right, so this is a small video of what you are gonna see there. You are gonna snorkel with a lot of little sea lions that are very curious about you, as well as you're curious about them. So they're gonna get very close to you. They're gonna go around you. They're gonna play with us. Sorry, it's just an edited video, but you can see also the big male there. This is the boss of the beach and the one that we have to be careful when we snorkel. So as you can see, very beautiful. It's not the best video, but it can show you, how spectacular can be snorkeling in Galapagos with these big animals. Big animals. And this is a part of the hike that we do. These cactuses are incredible and are also unique. Cactuses are one of the most important foods of the giant tortoises and provide a lot of services to our flora and fauna. Like, for example, they provide nesting sites for birds as well as food. This is one of the most important sources of water for giant tortoises and land iguanas during the dry season, as well as for many other birds, terrestrial birds like finches. And this is the pale iguana of Santa Fe, very different from the yellow iguana that is most common in other islands. This is unique to Santa Fe. And this is one of the sunsets that we can see as we navigate to our next destination, which is Bartolome and Rábida. Okay, so we move from Santa Fe to Bartolome, and this is a beautiful satellite island that is close to Santiago, another island that is also at the center of the Galapagos. And then we move to Rábida, which we call the Red Island, which you are gonna see why. So this is the landscape of Bartolome, and we can get to the top. We have to follow wooden steps to get to the most iconic views of the Galapagos, which is the Bartolome Pinnacle. And from here, you can see the island of Santiago in the front. So as you can see, it's pretty much an amazing landscape, one of the most iconic views of the Galapagos. And so there we can learn about geology, because this island is newer than Santa Cruz and is small in elevation, so it's not very complex, it's very barren. And this is one of the first locations and the only one in this part of the trip, which is to the east and the center, where we can see Galapagos penguins. Endemic to the islands as well, unique to the archipelago, but 95% of the population live on the west, okay? Now this is the red island of Rábida. The landscape here is amazing, as you can see. We have a brackish lagoon where we can also find flamingos and sea lions, and this is the color of the sand, very different, okay? And this is an underwater picture of our snorkeling site. And we finally finished this in Black Turtle Cove, a wonderful place to see mangroves. And then we take you to the airport. So this is the end of this part of the trip, and now we are gonna go to the western part of the trip. Okay, so this is a trip to the Western Islands. And in this particular case, we land in Baltra, then we go to a south sort of beach called Bachas Beach, then we go to Genovesa. Then we come back to Bartolome and to the Chinese Hat. Then we come to Santa Cruz to go to our tortoise camp. And then we go to the Charles Darwin Station to see the little giant tortoises. And then we travel all the way to the west, okay, to the Western Islands, which are new and are also colder. So that means that we are going to see a lot of flora and fauna that are unique to the Western Islands, which are colder. So species that are more temperate, species that are from Chile, from Peru. Sorry for this. Going back to this. So we go to the west, to Punta Moreno. So this is a very good place to see marine mammals as well. And then we go to Urbina Bay. Then we go to Punta Espinosa, to Tagus Cove. And then we go to Puerto Egas. Then to Caleta Bucanero. And then we head back. So let's just go every day on this route. Okay. So the first place we visit is just south of the airport. So we go to Bachas Beach, which is in Santa Cruz. This is the landscape. Beautiful coastal zone with a beautiful sandy beach that we can walk along, and also for a chance to see flamingos. We have a brackish lagoon there, but this is one of the best places to take pictures of the satellite crabs, which are super photogenic, as you can see. And also, this is a very important place for nesting green sea turtles. In fact, the last time I was here, which was a month ago, we had a chance to see the green sea turtles hatching. So this is seasonal, and we were lucky, but this is something that happens there. Then we move to the north. We move to the island of Genovesa, and this is a wonderful place for seabirds. It's far north, and it's surrounded by deep water, so a lot of the birds that we see here are pelagic foragers. And this is where we find the largest population of red-footed boobies. Okay? And it's probably the only sort of place that we visit where we can see the red-footed boobies. And they have red feet, and they have two varieties, as you saw, the white and the brown morphotype, and they nest on trees. So we're going to be able to see that, but also other species like the Galapagos dog and frigate birds. This is the great frigate bird, and it's feeding the little chick. They also nest on trees. So we're going to be able to see both of these birds sharing this place. And in this particular location in Genovesa, we can see the short-eared owl hunting storm petrels. Okay? This is one of the highlights. So you see we have several highlights in Genovesa. And this is one of the locations where we can see the Galapagos poor sea lion. It's different from the Galapagos sea lion. And this comes from Chile. Okay. When we snorkel, sometimes we can see hammerheads. Even though this is rare, this is one of the few places where we can see them. And we can see also incredible marine life, like these spotted eagle rays. Then we go from Genovesa to Bartolomé, and then to the Chinese Hat. So Bartolomé is the same place that we repeat in this other visit. So we know, and we move to the Chinese Hat. So these are some of the formations that we're going to get to see there along the road, and this is the Chinese Hat, a beautiful location to kayak and to snorkel. Okay, this is the forest candelabrum cactus that we can see there on the background of fresher lava fields, which surround. And then this is another place where we can see the Galapagos penguin. Okay. Then from there we do the tortoise camp. I show you already images of that, so I'm not gonna repeat that part. Okay. And then we move to Punta Moreno. So this is one of the longest navigations that we have, 100 miles. And we're moving to, new volcanic islands. And sometimes we're lucky to see volcanic eruptions like this one from Wolf Volcano, which is on the north part of Isabela. And this happens in 2022. So this is Punta Moreno. And this is a place where we can see for the first time flightless cormorants. Okay, we're gonna learn how they got flightless, and we are gonna learn about their very interesting mating system. And also we do a beautiful zodiac ride where besides flightless cormorants, we can see great blue herons and cow-nose, golden rays. And while we snorkel here, this is one of the few places where we might see seahorses and also sea turtles. And so this is a place with a lot of marine algae, so that's why we see a lot of them. Then we move to Punta Espinosa. So we move to Fernandina, the western island of the Galapagos and the most pristine one. So this is on the background Volcanas Cumbres, and this is another cactus that you find there, the lava cactus. Volcanas Cumbres is also a place that experienced a lot of volcanic eruptions recently. And this is one of the best places to see the marine iguanas and also lava lizards. As you can see, the ocean is very cold, so very full of nutrients, so not only sea turtles, marine mammals, but also plenty of marine iguanas to feed on that marine algae. And this is the best place to see them feeding underwater. Okay. And this is also a very good place to see the Galapagos hawk that depends a lot on this very abundant population of marine iguanas. Right, and then we just have a small navigation across to Isabel again to go to Tagus Cove and to land in the same place where Darwin landed, but also a place that was used by buccaneers and pirates in the past when they were around the Galapagos. And so this is a Darwin Lake, and it's a spectacular view. So we do a hike to the base of Darwin volcano. It's only a hike of an hour, and we call it the power hike. So in this one, we go fast. So we give the opportunity to our guests to do some cardio. And here we can also see penguins, and this is a very good location to swim with them, as well as to look for other wildlife, including, again, beautiful Galapagos sea lions and the brown noddy, which is a type of tern. Then we move to Puerto Egas and Caleta Bucanero, again to Santiago, getting back to the archipelago, and then we also do Caleta Bucanero before. So Puerto Egas is a spectacular place for photography. We walk along this rocky line, which is made out of compacted ash, to observe a beautiful wildlife like this lava heron, or this satellite of crab, or this geological formation. Okay. And we call this formation the Monk, and this is basically a volcanic plug. So we're going to explain that to you when you come to this place. And this is the elephant. All right. Then we finally move to Baltra for your return. All right. So what I would like to say about these two options that we have for you is that both are great. It will be great if you can come and see both. And so in either of those, you are gonna have a chance to see nature like no other place in the world. And it's for sure gonna transform the way you think about life. And this will be probably the trip of your life. So that was the title of my talk. And I thought a lot about it. And so I came up with this title because that's what a lot of the guests tell us at the end of the trip. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and I will be happy to take any questions.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, before we start in with the question and answer session, I would like to remind everyone that you can submit your questions via the question field in your control panel. All right, let's get to some of these questions. So, do you know how the El Nino effect will affect the islands for the rest of this year?
Yes, and so what we are experiencing at this point is an extended warm season that might overlap with an El Nino event. And the El Nino can affect the land and the ocean in different ways. So when we have El Nino events, the water gets really warm and we have almost no winds. And so that means that there is no recirculation of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus. And these are vital for the growth of plankton. So without plankton, the marine system shuts down. And basically there is no algae for the marine iguanas, there is no sardines for the blue-footed boobies, there is no food for the sea lions. And so if these El Nino events are long and strong, they can affect a lot the marine life. The land is the opposite because the land, what misses is fresh water. So when we get El Nino events, we get a lot of growth of plants and insects. And so that means that terrestrial organisms might reproduce a lot. Finches, for example, Darwin finches might reproduce for 5 times. But also during El Nino events, the islands are more prone to invasive species because you have better conditions for species like domestic animals like cats and dogs to thrive and become feral. That will be my answer.
Great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. So, do we know how many people will be on a typical trip?
Okay, so that depends on our boats, but in general, in the petrel, we usually have 16 and 14. And in the Nemo tree, we usually have between 14 and 12 people.
Can you talk about the differences between the different boats and accommodations?
Okay, so the Nemo tree has a lot of more open space. Okay, there we have 8 cabins, but one of the cabins is used by the guides. That's why we can only accommodate, between 12 and 14 people. Cabins are, and you only have 2 levels, basically. And the other boat, the Petrel, is longer, is 115 feet long. And there we have 9 cabins, and we have some suites in the first deck. And then we have, 9 cabins, up to 9 cabins. So usually there we can accommodate groups according to their needs. So first deck, we will use for people that have issues with mobility. Sometimes people travel with kids. So we can move a lot there and accommodate more needs on the other boat, I would say.
So, how are the seas? Should I be prepared to be seasick?
It depends on the season. That's a very good question. And so the winds are stronger in the months of July, August, September. And the oceans are calmer in the months of January, February, March, and April. So it's different, definitely.
So, if I am coming in January and February on the Western trip, are there any chances for me to see whales or orcas or anything like?
You might see them, but you might see them more during the coldest months. Okay, so yes, you see them, and we've seen them during the warm season as well.
So, do any of the islands not have a human population?
Yes, most of them. So we only have people on 5 islands. We have 16 big islands, and then we have a lot of small islets and pinnacles. And so only 5 islands out of the 16 big ones are populated by humans. The largest being Santa Cruz, with a population of 30,000 more or less people. Then San Cristobal with 10,000. Then Fernandina with 4,000. then Floriana with 150, and finally Baltra with less than 150.
Great, thank you. So if I can't swim, will it still be worth it for me to come on the trip to the Galapagos?
Yes, because we can accommodate different needs. And so, for example, if you have some issues with snorkeling or you don't feel too comfortable about it, you can try with us. That will be the first thing that we will try to do. But then if you don't like that option and you prefer to come on the tender, you can also do that. And in fact, this last trip, we have a guest that came on most of the snorkeling trips on the dinghy just to take pictures from the dinghy. So it's possible.
So do the Eastern and Western trips run back to back so you can do both of them?
Yes, you can do back to back, and we actually just had a guest that is at this time doing the other week.
Great, thank you so much for that. So if I wanted to see albatross, do you know when and where the best chance would be for me to see that?
Yes. So Española is the island where the majority nest. Then we also have La Plata Island near Ecuador, where we have a very few pairs that nest there, but they fail most of the time in La Plata Island. So most of the population lives on Española. We have at least 35,000 of them, and they are gonna be there from April more or less to the end of January, February more or less.
So can you recommend warmer or cooler months? Is it better for Eastern trips or Western trips? Or is there a little difference?
That really depends on every guest, because some people, don't care too much about the temperature of the water, but some people might care a lot about that. And so if you don't like colder water, you will better come, during the warmer season. But during the colder season, you get to see more marine life because there is more food. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you for addressing that. So what is it about the different islands that have attracted different animals? Do we know why some animals go to one place and not another?
Well, it really depends on how they arrive here. And so most of the animals and plants were transported by winds and ocean currents. And these are usually from the east to the west. So the first islands that they arrived to were the eastern islands of San Cristobal, Española, Floriana, Santa Fe. And so because the prevailing currents come from the east to the west, it's very hard once they arrive to Floriana, or Española to come back to these islands. And so the speciation processes have been longer in the eastern islands. And that's why we have more endemic species to the east. And we have, a lot of common species to the west, because the species are still being transported from eastern to western islands because of the prevailing currents. So it's different. Just to summarize, the east has more endemic species that are unique to those islands, while the west have also endemic species that are common in most islands. But when you go to the west, what is very different is the temperature. And that makes it possible for the western islands to have this unique combination of also temperate species with tropical species. So there, I'm talking about a lot of penguins, a lot of marine iguanas, a lot of sea turtles, a lot of marine mammals, and flyless cormorants, which you only see on the west.
When can we expect to see turtles hatch?
This is most common during the months of April, May, and June, probably, because they start laying the eggs in November, December, January, February. So around that time.
So can you talk again about the...
Sorry, it's really hard for us to see them hatching. So it's rare, but it can happen.
Great, thank you. So can you talk about the differences in the water temperature between cold and hot? How cold does it get and how warm does it get?
Okay, that's a very good question. So in the west, it gets usually colder during the colder months, and the temperature can go down to 60, sometimes 55 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, in the west. In the north and the center, it's gonna be always at least 3 or 5 degrees warmer. And so how warm can the west and the rest of the archipelago get during the warm season? You know, the water temperature can get to 80, 85, and during El Nino even to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So boiling hot. So you can see that, you know, it can go from 55 to almost 100.
Great. Wow, that's quite a range. So on the first volcanic island that you showed us, the rocks were black, but the beaches were yellow-white sand. How come the sand on the beach isn't black?
Okay, that depends on the origin of the sand. So if you are close to a new island, you are gonna have a lot of input from the black basaltic lava. But if the islands tend to be older, you are gonna have more organic sand. And so that means that it comes from the exoskeleton of lobsters, from the shells of bivalves or snails, from the poop of parrotfish, which is made out of calcium carbonate. So that really depends on what is the most important source of origin that is close to that beach.
Great, thank you. So was the island that had no vegetation on it, was that affected by a volcano?
A part of it, yes. Not the whole island, but part of it has no vegetation because the conditions are very harsh. And so, for example, in Santiago, you can see lava fields of 200 years with almost no vegetation, almost nothing, because this process takes time.
Great, thank you. So any chance that I could see Komodo dragons or marine iguanas on this trip?
Marine iguanas for sure, Komodo dragons, no.
Great.
Marine iguanas, yes.
Great. Well, Luis, thank you. That's going to be the last question that we do have for today. So I am going to throw it back to you for any closing comments that you may have for us.
Thank you. This has been a wonderful experience. I hope that we repeat this, and just to invite our guests to come and visit us in the Galapagos. Remember, we will make this experience the trip of your lifetime, we hope, and there will be always 2 expedition leaders with you, working together during the week as a team. That's all.
Luis, thank you so much, Luis, for taking the time to present for us today. And I would also like to thank everyone who tuned in today. Now, if you're interested in information on how you can travel with Nat Hab, please give us a call at the number on your screen, or you can send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are happy to help you out. Join us tomorrow for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.